Hello, it's Kristie Marcotte. I love using 6x6 paper pads for card making, and it's always fun using card sketches or die cuts to make the most out of a paper pad. I'm going to use the squared off cover panel die cut from Reverse Confetti and some small leftover scraps from Authentique's Lively collection. The Reverse Confetti die cut is perfect for using up the teeny tiny paper scraps. It has 20 small squares that are about 5/8 of an inch. I do want to mention that not all the squares are the exact same size though. For die cuts like this, I prefer to use the inlaid technique. It gives the card an intricate yet flat finish, perfect if you plan on mailing your card. To make sure the tiny scraps stay in place, I'm using washi tape to stick them directly to the die cut. If the pieces are too big, I'll simply cut them smaller with a pair of scissors. I keep flipping the die cut over just to make sure I'm not putting the same pattern next to each other. I think this die cut works well with a few patterns or as many as 20 different ones. Just to save time, I've sped up the video a bit while I get all 20 pieces taped in place. Because the frame has nice wide edges, it's perfectly fine to put busy patterns next to each other. It's also fun to add in some solid papers. For such a small amount of scraps, I would normally be just fine tossing them in the recycle bin or giving them to my 7-year-old daughter. But sometimes it's fun to really use as much paper from the 6x6 as possible. With all the papers taped into place, I can now run the die cut through my Sizzix machine. As I mentioned before, the squares are not all the same size. To make sure I don't mix up the pieces, I'll lay them out in the same position on my craft mat. Because I used washi tape to hold the papers in place, there are now small pieces of tape on the back side of the papers. I suppose it would be fine to just leave the tape, but I prefer to remove it. This step takes a bit of time. It's always nice to find a use for my large collection of washi tape. I know other crafters do amazing things with washi tape, but I mostly use it to hold die cuts in place. Now I have all the square pieces ready and can cut out the frame. The die cut frame would look great over a full sheet of pattern paper as well. It just depends on the look you are wanting. Next, I'm cutting 1-inch score tape into strips for the back of the frame. This makes it easy to hold all the small squares in place. Plus, the tape is double-sided, so it will then adhere to a card base. Since I made sure to lay out all the squares in the correct card position ahead of time, it was quick to place them into the frame. This is an older Authentique paper collection, but it still has a lovely fall look along with some pretty pink color. All of the squares are in place, and now I'll adhere the card front to a card base. If any of the white card base shows, I simply do a quick trim with my paper trimmer. Now I'll remove the backing from the score tape. If you've never used it before, it is super sticky tape. For the sentiment on my card, I'm using another Reverse Confetti die cut. It cuts out a fun square panel with the word hello on it. I only want to use the word though, so I'm trimming off the rest of the die cut. Reverse Confetti has a similar die cut with the sentiment thank you on it. To add a little more detail and sparkle, I'm using a gold color shine spritz from Heidi Swapp onto the hello sentiment. It's always fun to add a pretty gold shimmer. Since I still want to keep my card fairly flat, I'm not using any dimensional adhesives, just a bit of liquid glue. I used the quick dry adhesive from Scotch. It's a really old bottle that I have, and I've been told that the formula has since changed. I haven't tried the new one yet though. I cut out a few fall leaves using some Lawn Fawn die cuts. They have faux stitching on them that adds some pretty detail. The solid colors are from the back side of the authentic papers, so they match perfectly. Once again, I'm simply using liquid glue rather than dimensional adhesive. I mail out a lot of my cards, so it's always nice not to have to pay extra postage. For a final finishing touch, I decided to add a few tiny gold sequins from Pretty Pink Posh. They are small enough to not add extra thickness. When using sequins, make sure to have a strong glue. I like the multi-medium matte from Ranger. It's also important to allow adequate time for the glue to dry. Adding just a few extra details can really change the look of a card, even without a lot of extra dimension. I know I won't always use this die cut to finish off a 6x6 paper pad, although it's a great way to really make the most of the paper. And it helps to feature a wide variety of different paper designs, which is perfect when you love all the fun patterns. If you enjoyed my video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day.